Hey there, welcome back and happy Friday. Today I am very excited to walk you through my team's first time homebuyer guide. If you are a first time homebuyer or if you are someone who just hasn't purchased a home in a long time and the process feels foreign to you, this step-by-step guide will help you get from point A to point B, hopefully very seamlessly. The very first step is making sure that you are pre-qualified to purchase a house. There's no fun in shopping for something that you can't have, especially if it's something that you're very serious about. And if you are paying cash, you will need to provide proof of funds from your bank or wherever the cash is coming from. The second thing that happens once we know how much you can afford, you get your own personalized search set up on the MLS and you will get emailed listings daily, and those listings are coming to you within your criteria. So it's however many rooms, bathrooms you need, the location. You're not going to get sent homes that don't fit your criteria. From the list of homes that you are receiving, you can either utilize your portal to star and save the homes that you like, or you can send the homes directly to your agent so that they can start scheduling showings and the fun part starts. Your agent is going to go out with you for as many days and hours as it takes for you to find your perfect dream home. And once you do find your dream home, the next step is writing up the offer. Sometimes the offer process can go pretty quickly and we pick a number, go through a few other terms that we need for the offer, we submit it, and the sellers say, great, let's accept. And there are other scenarios where we go back and forth and negotiate, and a few counter offers may be in place before we reach an agreement that both parties are happy with. Once both parties agree and everything is signed, you are officially under contract and the escrow period begins. The first 10 days, typically, within the escrow period, those days are your due diligence period. And that's when we get an inspector to the house to look at it from top to bottom, inside and outside. And that's also your opportunity to make sure that you know what's going on in the neighborhood in terms of crime rates, what the schools are like if you're needing to know about that, and everything else that falls under that due diligence category. A few other things the buyer receives early on is the disclosure statement from the seller disclosing anything that the buyer should know about the house, the clue report, which is essentially any insurance claims that have been made on the house. Those need to be disclosed in that clue report. And then the title company will be sending items as well, such as the CC&Rs if there is an HOA, so the buyer can understand any regulations, rules that they might need to know about that the HOA has in place. By now, the inspection period is likely up and any requests that the buyer has for the seller has been submitted. The seller then does have 5 days to respond to the buyer, whether or not they want to repair anything, some items, all of the items, or maybe offer the buyer a amount, such as a couple $1,000s to fix whatever they want. If an appraisal is required for this property, your lender will be the one to order the appraisal. There is about a 10-day turnaround with that, and we just need to know if the house is worth what we offered at, or if we need to go back to negotiations, or if the buyer is going into this with equity off the bat. Now we're getting a little bit closer to closing day. To backtrack, this escrow period is about 30 days. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. That number of days is determined during the early on negotiations. But as we get closer to closing day, we will talk about scheduling your final walkthrough of the home. During the final walkthrough, we want to make sure that any repairs the seller said they would make were made. We want to make sure that the house is in the same condition that we first saw it in. And during the same kind of 1 to 3 days prior to closing, all documents need to get signed with title, whether you go to the title company itself, maybe they'll send someone so that you can sign documents remotely. Anything is possible, but we need to get everything signed ahead of time. Once we reach closing day, the buyer can officially get their keys once everything is recorded. It's super important that a buyer realizes once it's 8 a.m., they don't just get to move in. We do have to wait for everything to be recorded and for the purchase to be official. That can happen as late as about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. But regardless, once the house officially closes, keys will be handed over and the buyer is now a homeowner. Unfortunately, there are things that can come up during a transaction. It's not always going to be as seamless as a step-by-step process might make it seem, but as long as you're working with an agent who you trust, you can trust that they will overcome any hurdle and will get you to the finish line, so long as there is nothing that comes up during the transaction that makes the buyer need to or want to cancel on their own. If you are thinking about purchasing a home anywhere in the Phoenix metro area, definitely reach out. I can answer any questions or go more in depth about any of the points that I just made. And if I circle you back to the very first step, which was getting pre-qualified, that process can sound intimidating, but if home buying is something you want to do, I highly recommend getting in touch with a lender so that if you need to be set up on a good game plan, they can do that with you. We do have really great contacts for lenders. If you do need a contact, again, don't hesitate to reach out. If you would like to download a free copy of our first-time homebuyer guide, make sure you check the link below and you can have a copy on hand at all times as you consider the process. My name is Chelsea Vick with the Desert Dreamers Real Estate Team with Real Broker, and this is The Real Deal. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next week.